And we're live.
All right.
Awesome.
Hey.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So today,
Welcome to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're glad you're here.
heard great things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about yourself.
Yeah. Well, my name is Saunders.
Is that your real name?
Yeah.
Is it your first name?
It's legally my name.
Fair enough.
So today we've got Britt and Jeff Roth.
I'm glad you
Yep.
didn't forget our names. This is pause.
Is that how you say it?
Britt and Jeff Roth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Good,
correct.
good enunciation. Yeah.
And let's see. They are what?
Our friends.
Yeah.
Friends,
They live
entrepreneurs,
Right.
a creative
Yeah.
powerhouse, as it's been said
Yeah.
by me.
Yeah,
Once.
that's better. You do your own introduction.
Yeah. They need no introduction. No.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's say, you are a big part of the community now, like came out of nowhere and now suddenly
Like more
Well,
catch
bam.
from an egg. Boom,
Staples.
Kanab.
Yeah. Staples and
Thanks. I
Kanab.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they paid me to say that.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's a plug for Staples.
Is there a staple?
They're
still?
a staple
Yeah.
in Kanab.
No, but
But there is a sale going on. I mean,
Yeah.
15% all products, even printers. It's amazing.
right. No, but so the two big things you got going. One that's coming up soon, Kanab Film Festival, and then
It's actually the Kanab Film Fest in Food Frenzy this year.
Yep, that's right.
Expanded.
Yeah. So
Our
and then
title.
the second thing is 𝗧cie_𝗶𝗰𝘀 RV Park. Is that the correct name?
Dark Sky Boutique RV Campground.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
Dark Sky RV Campground.
Yeah.
It's like Dark Sky, a boutique RV campground. Like
That's
kind
it.
of
Like
like
a
a
tagline.
sub.
That's what it
Yeah,
is.
a
That's
sub.
what it is.
Yeah. Or Dark Sky, a boutique RV campground.
Oh yeah.
That's
Cool.
Well, and it really is. I mean,
I
it's
know. It's so special.
Thanks.
stunning,
Yeah.
stunning, pretty, beautiful, lots of words place.
It's definitely well worth all the like BS that we went through to get here.
Yeah.
Like sold our homes, moved into a tin can and traveled US, Canada, and Mexico for like almost a year and a half. And then put everything that our home was worth basically into buying the land and building the park with Britt's parents. And so you're like, cool, well, if this fails, I got nothing. But there's that old story about burning the boats. And so we burned the boats, and yeah, it's like, it's definitely paid off. That story is there was I don't know all the details, but basically an admiral arrived to a foreign country and said, okay, great, guys, get off now. Let's set the boats on fire. And they were like, what? He's like, yeah, you're either going to die or win, but no one's swimming back to the boats. So they set the boats on fire. And even though it was like a smaller army, totally destroyed whoever they were fighting. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it was like sink or swim. Like you have no backup plan. And yeah,
Got to make it work.
burn the boats.
Make it work.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Well, I want to back up because, okay, so you were full-time RVers before making this and before moving here,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when was the first time you visited Kanab?
We were traveling for about like maybe 8 months or something, 6 to 8 months maybe. And we decided to meet up with my parents for my dad's 60th birthday. And they had a little trailer. And we had all like never been to Utah
I
before.
think October. It was like October
October.
2017. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And we decided to do like all the parks around Utah, and we all like traveled together through Kanab. We were on our way
Tiny
to
caravan.
Jacob Lake Campground when we were like coming into Kanab, going through, and like the back door of our RV swings open because we had a bathroom in the back.
Uh-huh.
Like
So-
right in front of Glacier.
Right in front of-
Whoa.
Yeah, so we had to pull over and fix the latch on it and kind of like, where did we just stumble upon? Like, this is super cute. Okay, let's go grocery shopping. And then I think we just continued on our way, camped at Jacob Lake. And one of the days while we were there, we're like, let's go back into that cute town. So we remember seeing, like, I remember seeing the best friend sign and like the Moki Cave dinosaur, right? All these like kind of notable things are just like out in the middle of nowhere. And then all of a sudden there's this like kind of cool looking cave thing. And then this sign that looks really modern and bright orange. You're like, what? Like you start paying attention. So yeah, we all decided to come into town. We had lunch at what was...
Yeah, it was the Three Bears, which was like a staple.
Do you remember that?
Here.
I never tried that.
No,
yeah, it was gone
We were
before
there
we
its
moved.
last day.
Yeah, it was the last day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like literally.
That's so
They're
symbolic.
like, we just sell, and they just
Now it's Vermilion 45.
sold it. And the
I thought
chef,
it was Wild Time.
No, it was
No.
Vermilion.
Oh,
It's now Vermilion.
Vermilion
then-
looks great. I don't know what.
It looks a lot better than it used to.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And the chef at Three Bears, I think, was like from Austin. Like he was
Oh,
in a
really?
French
He
restaurant.
came here with Walt.
Yeah.
And was just
Yeah.
currently the chef.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So in the span of like an hour coming into Kanab for lunch, we met 3 people
From Austin.
from Austin who had just like relocated.
And the lieutenant governor of the state, which is in charge of business for
like-
the state, who's now
he was
Governor
having lunch
Cox.
there.
It was like, it's my one
my
day in
God.
Kanab. It's like so random.
Wow.
And I remember being at, where were we? Dinosaur National Monument. And it raining, and I was inside, and I was like, I need to, God, universe, I need to know, I need a sign so big when we hit the place we're supposed to be that, like, I can't just ignore it, right? And, like, 3 people from Austin in an hour, plus the guy in charge of business for the entire state. I was like, okay, you have my attention. I'm listening. Congratulations.
I felt like it was kind of like valid. Like you're in this really small town and you are, you know, from Austin, Texas, which is like such a cool, hip place.
awesome.
Right.
But we wanted a change of life, but like you still enjoy some of those things and like the
Right.
culture. And so coming from this really big town into a small town, meeting people who had like moved from Austin, like they obviously had seen something that felt comfortable here.
Yeah.
You know, and we're like, oh, like it already felt neat coming in, you know, like it had this vibe, just an energy. But then meeting those people, we're like, oh, like we like seriously considered it. And basically, my dad went down across the street, to Adobe Realty.
Yeah.
He met Karen Heat, who just relocated from Austin.
Oh,
He
I
got,
didn't
like-
know she was from
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He got like a bunch of pamphlets, houses, like pricing, things about Kanab. Came back to Three Bears. We had lunch outside. And basically at that moment, we all decided like, yeah, we're going to live here. Like,
Wow.
we read about the weather and that there were like 40 festivals a year and people were so nice. And we're like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
this is it. Like, that was the moment. It was like really neat.
Then we left and went to a bunch of other places with her parents. We came back in October to the 2017 Red Rocktoberfest, which was like apparently one of the best years. It like the art walk and that, and some culinary. There was like a brew thing going on at Sego.
Yeah.
Like it all happened on the same night, and we were like, "This place is amazing."
It was so cool.
And then every year since then, they've kind of been not together. Oh, like the Wolfensteins were playing music outside Jakey Lee's.
Yeah.
And we were just like, what?
Yeah.
What
everything
an
was
amazing
happening.
festival. And
Yeah,
it was
it
like,
was
no, it's
so
4
amazing.
things all happening at once.
It just gave us like a real good like flavor of the town,
Yeah.
and we were just so excited.
Yeah.
So excited that we camped, like boondocked, dry
Yeah.
camped. We couldn't get into, okay, this is another cool story. We
Okay.
wanted to stay, come back for the festival after we all decided like, we're going to live here. Like, okay, let's try to stay for like a week longer, you know? And then I think my parents moved on. Like this was our last stop. And they were on their way home. And we were like, we're going to come back and stay longer. We could only get a handful of days at the Hitchin Post.
3 days. That
But
was
we
it.
wanted to stay for the Red Rocktoberfest. So we went out to Coral Pink Sand Dunes. There's like, we pull up and there's like cowboys like walking around everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy at the booth is like, oh, sorry, they're filming Westworld. We're like, this is amazing. Like, where are we? This is so cool. He's like, you can't camp here. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
So we just like went back into that giant, big open pit where ATVs go up the hills and everything like
Hog
that.
Canyon.
Well, kind of, but
Oh.
right on the same. It kind of
In
looks
the
like
sand
that,
dunes.
but it's at the sand.
Oh,
dunes.
at the center. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And we just camped there for like 2 or 3 nights and
we woke up the next
traveled
morning.
back into Kanab. Like, oh my god, this town's great.
We were the only ones there. We woke up in the morning, and now it's full of fifth wheels
Yeah.
and ATVs.
Oh
and
my
we're
God.
like, what? What happened? Like overnight, there were like 20 vehicles in there when it was us.
While you were sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We heard some commotion, and we were like, maybe it's a highway.
Then we definitely got like, oh, okay, this is also what goes on in this town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that was that I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, that's kind of a new culture
Yeah.
for us.
Well, we're in the
here.
country. And like, we've always lived in the city. Even when we lived in rural places, like I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and Britt's from upstate
Like,
New York.
Yeah, that's not
Not
things
really
they
what you
do.
Yeah.
Like, no, ATVing, I never knew what that was.
Yeah, you drink bourbon and go bourbon tasting in Louisville. Like, there are definitely people that ride ATVs, but I'm from a
there's-
city.
Yeah, there's like mountains around there, but they're compared to out here.
Right.
Like I remember
Yeah.
I lived in South Carolina for a while, and
Right.
they would say, oh yeah, let's go out to the mountains. And then you get there and you're like, these are hills.
Yeah.
These are not mountains. So
Yeah.
riding the ATVs, you kind of had to have access. Plus there's so much more
Yeah.
private property out there. So it's just out here, there's just public land forever.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's just a big
I think
difference.
65% of
Another
Utah is
perk.
public land.
No, it's more,
More,
like, it's
not-
like
Really?
85.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's high.
a lot.
Great. I love living.
Yeah.
It's awesome
Yeah,
in a
it's-
lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
true.
There
There's
are
a lot
a few
I don't like.
downsides. Yeah.
Well, we live on the border of Arizona, so that's cool.
yeah.
You can just pop into another state when you're tired of whatever.
cool.
Which has like 83% public land.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Arizona is really high. Arizona, Nevada, Wyoming.
That's cool. I mean, I guess that's why there's like nothing between Fredonia, Jacobs Lake, I guess, and like Flagstaff.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh.
America. Like, there's
Right.
stuff on the reservation, but
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's kind of cool. Like that's the difference between like you go up on Cedar Mountain and there's Duck Creek Village, which
Yeah.
is cool, but it's almost like overgrown now. And
it's like a 2-hour cool thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
After
exactly.
2 hours, you're like,
Yeah.
I got to get out of here.
Yeah. It's so
But-
busy.
And that's why we probably go to the 𝗧cie𝗶𝗰𝘀 more because you can't own property there. So
Yeah.
you're only going to bump into people who are camping and it's like temporary. So you have all these amazing trails with,
The tent city looks legit because
Yeah.
it's like in the forest,
yeah, exactly. So,
not under a bridge.
but no, but yeah, it's a little different out here. And Sarah knows a lot about that. She studied that in school about, recreation and
Oh, yeah.
different
I did take
uses.
class. I was like, did I?
no, just like,
Feeling nervous.
people want to hunt, people want to ATV.
Yeah.
and
Outdoor recreation.
Outdoor
Fishing.
rec.
And, yeah.
Sometimes they kind of collide into,
Right. Yeah. Because it's totally different groups of people. People
Yeah.
who like to
Yeah.
hike are sometimes very different from people who like to do ATV stuff. But,
or hunt
Yes.
or
Or
fish
hunt.
Yeah.
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 or camp or whatever.
but they all love the outdoors. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow,
I always wonder how people are doing when they move here from out of state. I'm like, how are you doing? I know it's a lot different here.
It's
Yeah, how
very
are you doing?
Different. We're great because I always like to lead with a positive. There's a lot
Yeah.
we had to learn,
Uh-huh.
and
it's a different culture here, huh?
yeah, totally. I mean, in Austin, like, people would be fake nice. And you're like, yeah, okay, like no one would travel across the river. Like if you lived south of the river, it was like pulling teeth to get you north of the river, which is crazy. It's like north and south divided. So even though we had a lot of friends on the south side, we like never saw them because they never wanted to go north of the river.
Wow.
What? Yeah, it's so anyway, we're like, I guess we don't have any real friends. Like, there's people that I would invite to a party and they would invite me, right? But if they're like, I'm not going to come north of the river, you're like, what kind of friend are you? You're not. You're just
Yeah.
someone that I like, but won't go out of their way for us. Anyway, so we realized we had no friends. So
Okay.
that was like, one of the catalysts. And I was a visual effects professor, and they at the Art Institute of Austin. So they shut down my department. They're like, we don't need a full-time professor anymore. So peace. And awesome. Now I'm unemployed, and it totally sucked. But that was sort of like, okay, now all ties have been cut. Like we were definitely sticking around because I had a great job and I enjoyed it for 90% of the time. And so we have no friends. We have no job. Britt had quit working for the company she was working for.
Were your pets' heads falling off?
Yeah, pretty bird.
It was a shitstorm. No, but going back to our question, the original question, culture here, like,
No, it's all good.
right?
Yeah. But
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's a lot that we had to learn, and it seems like there are certain groups of people that are fake nice. Like they're very polite to your face, and it's not
In
like,
Austin?
no, here.
Oh,
And it's not like they'll talk behind your back or whatever, but it's just like very surface.
well, yeah. I think that's the difference. I mean, overall, I think we've made more meaningful relationships here in a very short amount of time.
Definitely.
And people are so nice, and that's really refreshing and more genuinely nice. Like they genuinely care.
Right.
And I feel like if anything were to happen, and things have happened, like when we were first here staying in an RV, it was like the height of summer, and our electrical,
Our 50 amp cable broke.
yeah, and it like that means you can't have air conditioning, and you're in a small town, so you're not going to get that part like right? And so I put it up on classifieds, and in like 5 minutes I had like 3 different people helping, and someone came over
8
and tried to
different
fix
people
it, and
reached
you know,
out. Everyone had 30 amps.
it's really like comforting to know, like if anything were to happen, big or small,
For the most
people
part,
will help
Kanab
you.
has your back,
yeah.
which I love.
It's really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
But then you learn that like there's a lot of religious stuff that's going on here, because that's a really big part of Utah, and difference,
Yeah.
or different
I
religion.
mean, we're Jewish-ish being heavily.
And so like there's a
laid
lot of
down.
people that are from here, or they are part of the same religion. And so they just already have their friendships, and they're good with that.
Yeah.
And they're not mean. They're just not like open to making deeper
Yeah.
friendships with other people.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I'm good. Like I have all these friends in my ward, and all these friends have
They went
kids.
to high school together.
Yeah, and
Right.
we all
It's
have
like you're trying
kids,
to
and we
get
see each
in
other all the time. And
It's
on
it's
a relationship
hard.
that's like
Yeah.
basically 40 years old.
Right.
yeah.
yeah,
30, whatever.
and you try not to like let that like hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
You just like trying to put it in perspective of like, yeah, they don't need any more friends. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
good, and I guess at
they're
the
not
end of the
nasty.
day,
We say
I'm
hello
good.
to each other,
Like
you
I'm
know?
okay with quality over quantity.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't build friendships if people are also not willing to go bigger, more than surface.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that here too.
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
An
And-
adjustment.
Yeah.
And it's been an adjustment.
You
we
guys?
we both grew up in Salt Lake City and Mormon culture, and so we kind of understand it a little better, probably.
Yeah.
But in some ways, but more of an insider perspective. But I think the thing that's also been adjustment for us is just getting used to small town, because we grew up in a bigger city.
Yeah.
Then we were in St. George, and then now smaller town, and there's a lot of awesome benefits. And I do agree, like kind of that community, everyone has your back, like that's definitely there. So
Yeah.
But-
Compared to a city where you
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like you're just totally on your own.
Alone.
yeah,
luck.
Yeah.
What- I
So-
know there's a million people and you're on your own.
There's
but-
a statistic that if there's over X amount of or hundreds of people per square mile, you stop caring because you assume someone else will take care of it, which is why in bigger cities you're like bleeding on the sidewalk and people just step over you. Whereas in a smaller town, you're like, no, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that I don't really know that person, or I think
Right.
like, I'm like, whatever, I'll help out because that's what you do.
Well, and it ends up being like kind of what you're suggesting. I don't really know that. Like you see people at the grocery store or the gas station, and over time you're like, okay, I've seen that person 8 times
Yeah.
in the last few months. I
Right.
know they're not a tourist.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's
totally.
like, hey, cool bike or, whatever, and so it's like, yeah, you get to know them a little better. And there definitely is that, like you say, like wanting to help other people and
Yeah.
reach out. Anyway.
I definitely talk to different groups of people than I would ever engage with in Austin, right?
Yeah.
Like it would be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you're doing that thing over there. Like I'm doing mine. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Now I'm like generally interested. Like, oh, really? That's happening? Wow. That's fascinating.
Or like the police chief.
Oh yeah.
Where do we see him yesterday? Oh, Havana Cabana a couple days ago. I was like, hey, what's up, Tom? Just like,
Maybe
and
I'm
he's
too
like,
casual.
hey,
but
I have a special event permit that I'm gonna be handing your way. He's like, cool, let's talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real. Like,
love that.
we're all people. We're
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
people trying to do things and
Yeah. Or the mail lady. You're like, hey, what's
Yeah.
up?
Jay, the manager of Glazers, he said that in a smaller town, bigger jobs are more accessible. Like, I have no idea who the police chief of Austin or Louisville, Kentucky is. Because, like, why would you know that information? Unless you're, like,
Right.
in your political...
Unless you're reading the news.
Right. Like, Chief
Yeah.
Cram came to the rental house that we had because our RV was illegally parked in front of the house. And we didn't know that you couldn't park there. So, anyway,
for like more than 30 days.
Yeah.
It's like a statute. here.
someone talked to our mother-in-law, and I was like, they didn't talk to me. I'm gonna ignore this. So he came and knocked on her door, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm the chief of police of Kanab. I was like, okay, how can I help you? And he was like, oh well, you can't have the trailer. I was like, oh, no one told me that. And he was like, oh, all right, well. So anyway, like, great relationship.
Yeah.
And then I brought him like cookies or a cake. I was just like super grateful. Like, dude, thank you for just like, he could have been a total dick about it.
Right.
And he wasn't. He's a very nice person. So I brought dessert, and they were like, why are you bringing this
Yeah.
to Chief Graham? I was like, because like, why not? Like, he's great. Is that weird of me? And they're like, that's a little weird.
Secret admirer.
Yeah. I have a Tom Cram tattoo. I'm not going to show off, but there's hard eyes. It's an emoji.
This is for you, Tom.
He's like, I'm canceling your special permit.
Oh, that's funny.
I know.
Okay, so you've mentioned Louisville, Kentucky, upstate New York. Is that what you said? Tell us a little bit about, before where you grew up, and then how you two met, how that
Wow,
came
going
together.
way back.
Yeah.
I was born.
Started out as an egg and a sperm. And I was like, I'm going to get that. And then I did. And look at me now. My first goal achieved in life, success. Yeah, all right. So growing up, I don't know. I mean,
I grew up in
Louisville-
a town
What
called,
area? Oh, go ahead.
it's called New Paltz.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a hippie town. Like lots of mountain climbers go there. The like Mohonk Mountains are really famous, and
where they filmed The Shining. also.
Mohawk Mountain House is
Oh,
where they film The
really?
Shining.
The
Yeah.
interior.
What?
So the hotel, you can stay there, of course, and
Cool.
it's just like amazing and beautiful. So I grew up there, but I moved when I was 12 to San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
And my parents bought a Gold's Gym.
Oh.
How big was the town you grew up in? Would you guess?
Small. It was small.
Uh-huh.
I mean, but
2000?
no, I think it. I mean, it's hard to judge
Yeah.
like as a young
kid,
person.
yeah.
I mean, there's more stoplights than Kanab, so I
Okay.
have to think was bigger. Maybe it was like 10,000.
Where the man that
You
invented
know?
stoplights lived there. I require one on every corner.
There was a lot of like German history there, like the
Oh, cool.
Huguenots settled New Paltz, and I mean, really, really beautiful, and yeah, it like cool place to grow up. Like the movie theater was like a one screen theater with like velvet curtains, just
Yeah.
like
Like the
ours
Redstone?
here,
Or the
like
Crescent moon.
like the crescent moon, yeah. And so like I think also that's what was charming about this town too, is like it really reminded me of New Paltz, and I like was so stoked to have my kids grow up here.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, then in when I was 12, I moved to a big city, San Antonio, Texas, which is like a huge culture shock.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You go to high school and everything there then?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So then that's how, then you went to Austin.
Then I went
UT,
to Austin,
right?
UT, and that's where we met.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you grew up in Louisville?
I did. I spent, I was adopted at, thanks for bringing it up. I was adopted at like 6 weeks. So from 6 weeks to like 18 and, 7 weeks, I spent my time in Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I moved to Austin. I followed a girl to UT. But they had a really good film school.
Not this girl, though.
Not this girl. No. She was in what, 3rd grade? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we were 3 years apart. So
Totally
it wasn't
kidding. No,
quite
yeah.
there yet.
Yeah. You should probably cut that out.
He says stuff like that all the time.
Do you? Or
I was like, I don't know, maybe 23. So what was that? Your junior high then?
Yeah.
Which is true.
Oh, that's, yeah, all right. I guess that's
not that weird.
Yeah. To you.
Not that
Specifically you. Saunders like, okay. Anyway, yeah, so I grew up in Louisville. It has over 1 million people. There's like 5 synagogues. So there was always a large Jewish community, and some kids only had Jewish friends. Like they went to a Jewish day school and like Jews, that was their life. Well, I went to public school, and Kentucky has terrible public schools. So I didn't for high school. My parents were like, you need an education where someone won't lift weights in class while they're teaching you Spanish. That actually happened. She's like, okay, class A, like doing these tricep lifts. I'm like 13. I'm like, hey, there's like a fit lady in front of me lifting weights. And so I'm like trying to focus. I'm ADD and also like full of hormones. I'm like, this is not working out. I need a different formula. So anyway, terrible experience. And one of my choir teachers, so I can sing a little. No, my choir teacher was arrested for being a pedophile.
Oh boy.
And I didn't find out until I went to Austin. I got a phone call one day my freshman year. And my mom's like, Jeffrey, you'll never guess who's a pedophile. And I was like, David Meredith, like without missing a beat. Hadn't seen the guy since 8th grade. And she's like, how'd you know? I was like, the dude was always sweaty. And he like played favorites. And the younger and cuter you were, like, remember Kira? She was like 3 feet tall in middle school. Very talented singer. Like, it was great. Yeah. Like, there's a reason he liked her outside of being a freaking pedophile.
Well, at least we know we're going to get a bunch of views in Louisville now.
Yeah, right? They're like, I remember David Meredith. That was creepy.
You're going to see this.
Yeah, and he had like a Seinfeld obsession. Like always talking about Seinfeld every Thursday. And you're like, I don't care. Can we just like either sing or like go outside? Just something other than, because, yeah. Anyway.
So
then I went to Austin, and my senior year, I was chronically depressed. And like
you
terrible,
had broken up with your girlfriend.
Yeah, right? Terrible breakup. It just kind of fizzled. Anyway, it was like 5 years. So I was like, I had no identity really. I had to like figure out who I was because we started dating my like junior year of high school. So now I'm having like this existential crisis. And I meet Britt. You want to tell that story? Because I love it when you tell that story.
I didn't know very many people coming out of high school in San Antonio, going to Austin. I mean, I had like the little group, but I didn't want to just be friends with my high school friends. Like I wanted to branch out. But I felt like pretty reserved. So I just joined Hillel, which is the Jewish organization on campus, even though I knew like these are not really my people, but at least we have something in common.
Yeah.
Sometimes Hillel is like where all the cool kids go. And then sometimes that's the exact opposite that happens.
It wasn't that cool.
The opposite that
but
happens.
I like went into the Chabad house and I signed up to join or something, and they wanted to do like a speed dating event, and I was interested in event planning, so I like joined the committee. And part of the responsibility is that you had to recruit people. So on campus, on this area called the West Malls, where all the student organizations kind of set up outside and shout at people.
Yeah.
It's totally not my thing, but
yeah, I know.
Like,
can you imagine her doing it?
This is what I have to do. Like, this sucks. There I am, like this table by myself. Like, okay, I can do this. And then I don't know if it was like the first day or second day I was set up out there, and then I just see him like walking towards me. And
did you say Adonis?
Walking towards me.
In like
Golden
slow
Adonis.
motion.
Slow motion, like hair
Bum, bum, bum,
flowing.
bum. It's
and
like the Olympics. No, 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 no.
it looked very adorable. So I said, "Hey, do you want to go to Jew date?"
And I was wildly hungover because it was like right after Yom Kippur, and I was like, it's time to start sinning again. And so I went like super hard after fasting all day. Anyway, so I like don't want to talk to anybody, and I have like headphones in, but I'm too lazy to like plug them into literally anything. So it's just dangling in front of me. I'm like, guys, don't talk to me. And then I hear, do you want to come to Jew date, right? Because I'm not listening to anything. And I was like, who knows I'm Jewish? Like red beard, earrings, trucker hat. And so I like look around and I see this cute girl at a table who was definitely 18. And, and yeah. And so I was like, what's this? Oh, I said, how'd you know I was Jewish? She's like, I didn't. I was just shouting at you. And I was like, I took it as a compliment. Like my ego was like, yeah, she was shouting at you. Nice. You got this. Where it could have been like, you have a warm body and I'm shouting at you. I never considered it that way. I was like, I got this. So she invites me to Jew date. Speed dating downtown. I was like, are you going to be there? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, maybe I'll see you there. And I like walked away. I'm like, that's the coolest you've ever been. I was so proud of myself. I was late. The teacher was like, where? You're like 20 minutes late because I was talking to Britt. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Just like, no, it's not. I was like, I had a pretty good, I met somebody. It's awesome. So whatever. Fail me for the day. It's not going to faze me. Anyway. So yeah. We went out, and I didn't get to date her at all.
Yeah, the room was like
split in half.
Stupid. The way it was organized was like,
Oh, so you could never have partnered.
we
ever.
never like we just speed dated all these losers. Like, oh my god, this one guy named Baruch. I was like, oh god.
But his name means blessing.
Oh, it was super Jewy. And
we're allowed to say that on Color Country.
I just wanted to meet him, and that's it.
What? Okay, so I just want to get a better picture of what you mean, like super religious or super like.
Jesus, that's anti-Semitic. I can't believe I'm banging an anti-Semite twice a day.
Glasses, like I don't know.
Okay,
he was a nerd.
Nerdy. They're so nerdy.
Okay. Because I feel like I could understand, like, if I were at a speed dating group, I could see, like, super Mormon guys. Not all, but some are more like bros, I feel like. Not all of them. I don't know. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just wondering what you mean. That's all.
Yeah, they were just pretty, like, they're pretty nerdy. There wasn't anything more they were interested in than Judaism. I'm like, that's an aspect of me, but like, there's other.
They just want to find a nice, like, Jewish
girl.
Yeah.
That's it.
In Judaism, studying is like super important. So like some of the top dudes in ultra religious communities they just study the Torah all day. Yeah. They're on welfare,
right?
Oh, wow.
Because they're like, well, this is the most important thing I can do. It's like my religion. So anyway, like in Israel, people feel, they have their own impersonations of people that live like that. Some are like, oh, they're draining, money off the state, and others are like,
I'd imagine it's like like the people in Israel, they're like literally at the Wailing Wall like all day.
Yeah. So I went when I was 16, and it's like this big deal. Like you hear about it all the time. It's like, oh, the Western Wall, oh, the temple, it was burned down and rebuilt. And so it's like this, fairly significant, because I was like not religious enough to keep kosher, because I mean, like, come on, bacon is amazing. You can't stop me, God. Come get me. So anyway, it's like this really spiritual moment for me at the Western Wall. And there's a guy that takes tourists and he like wraps you into tefillin, which are like ultra Orthodox wear it, and they're like wood blocks, and they have thing on them. So if you've ever seen like a Jewish guy with like a box on his head wrapped with leather.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's that. One goes here. One goes on your hand.
Yeah.
And the other goes here on the inside, which is why I have this tattoo here on the inside of my arm. Can you see it?
Yeah, that way. Yeah.
All right, whatever. So that's why I got it there, because that's where you put to fill in, because it's next to your heart. So I'm like all wrapped up, feeling uber Jewish. I'm like, I got this. And then I go up to the wall, and I'm like, my eyes are watering. And then I hear this guy pick up his cell phone and dial a number. Oh, also, because they're ultra religious, they won't have any interaction with a member of the opposite sex that's not a sister, mom, or wife. Oh. So give me 5. That's illegal. Anyway, the phone rings over here on the lady side, and I hear this lady pick up, and then this dude starts yelling at her in the phone, and she's yelling back on the other side. And I'm like trapped in between this conversation of like these two people that just apparently don't give a shit that they're like at the Wailing Wall. And so I'm like trying to have this moment, and it made me kind of sad. Like they have this special opportunity, and it's just like another day. I'm going to yell at my wife.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Sorry. I know that has like nothing to do with your podcast. But
no, it's good.
Story.
We want to know, like, the podcast is about the area and color country, but it's more about getting to know the people and like,
sweet.
Who are the people behind Dark Sky and Kanab Film Fest, Yeah. So
cool.
Should we talk about those?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So that story that we were telling earlier, where we had to sleep in the sand, Pink Coral Sand Dunes, we stayed there, and we obviously had 0 hookups, and we weren't prepared to boondock. So we tried to spend as much time out of the RV as possible. So we were just in town a lot, walking around, and we came across the Perry Lodge. And Britt was like, "Oh my God, that thing is so cute. It'd be amazing to do like a little film festival."
The barn in the back.
Yeah, the barn in the back.
Well, you studied film, right? So, so there's that background, and I don't know. I guess film is something you're interested in as well. No.
I mean, I like movies, but I.
Okay, so this.
I mean, that's why this works. Is like he's passionate about film. I love to put on events.
Oh, okay.
To have a project that I can something to plan and organize and put together, like you gave me a good venue. I'm like, yeah, let's go. So
had you had the idea or thought of like doing a film festival before you saw the Perry Lodge, or just like you saw that?
I mean,
was it just like saying it in the moment and then like
I
don't think
we knew we were going to live here.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was just like an idea.
When that happened, it wasn't like we're 100% living here.
Yeah, I think we were. I think we had decided that already.
I was on the fence.
Just kidding. Well, right, I mean, we had through that we had found out about like the history of Kanab and all the films and the fact that it was called like Little Hollywood, and just like couldn't believe that there wasn't a real film festival here. I mean, not to say that the Little Hollywood Shootout.
No, I mean the Little Hollywood Shootout
a film
is
festival.
For filmmakers.
Yeah,
because it's a like 24-hour, 48-hour film fest.
Yeah,
like you make a movie and then you show it.
Right. But there wasn't like a multi-day festival where you go and we had
people that like movies.
Yeah. And I'd gone, my only experience, I think, at a film fest was Marfa. Oh, and the one in Mexico.
Taos.
Taos, yeah.
Taos Shorts.
Jeff did, a film. And so we went to Marfa and Taos, and there were both like small festivals.
In small towns.
In small towns, but very cool and hip, and the people were so neat and nice, and it was like this community of people that got together because they just loved film, and I was like, we can do that. Like that just gave the vibe here, and
so that's what we based sort of the Kanab Film Festival off of, is like Taos and
just
Marfa,
our experience,
but with our own spin. Like, oh, that was really cool. Like I had never been to a film fest where they put me up before. Like when I was in the Louisville Film Fest, I just stayed with my parents. Like obviously I didn't need to be put up in a hotel.
And Marfa, we rented a house with friends, but then Taos, they people. Like extended a stay for all filmmakers. It was, it just blew my mind. Like it was the coolest. We got to stay, like all the hotels were totally into it, and we got to stay at this really neat,
awesome bed and breakfast.
Yeah, it was just such a special weekend. And then you can walk to the theater, and there were cute little restaurants, and it was just a memorable thing. I'm like, well, we can totally do that here, and it just felt doable because it was small. Where in Austin, I don't think I'd ever have that desire. I'm like, there's already Austin Film Festival, there's South by Southwest. Like, what's the point, right? You're just gonna do it, and it's just going to be compared to these big things. And
unless you're like super niche, like Horror Fest.
Yeah,
like,
super niche, right.
That's fine, but I'm not.
But I was definitely, Jeff is very confident in the technical aspects, I guess. And I was very confident going into planning something.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a film degree. I taught film and animation and visual effects. So can I bump together 2 clips and design something? Yeah, totally I can.
Right.
So we reached out and asked the city, Kanab Arts Board, right?
Yeah.
For help.
And got in touch with the guy who was running the arts board.
Right.
So what year was it you saw the Perry Lodge, and then how long until like when you started the fest?
Yeah, so we saw it in 2017, and then I approached Kanab Arts Board because Britt was watching the kids, and so I was. But it
like we were just in town. We hadn't moved there yet, right? We went
Right,
away.
the Bowman story.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, we walked into Perry Lodge, and there was a family setting up for a wedding. And they were like, "Oh yeah, no, come in, check out the space. You should come to the wedding later." And we're like, what? And they were like, "No, really. Like, we'll be offended if you don't show up." And we're like, "What the fuck? Where are we?"
And then we're like, "Should we go? And what do we bring?" And I think we bought like a box of Kind bars.
We did from the Hampton Inn.
Oh yeah.
I was like, "You should be kind to each other. Here you go." And anyway, it wasn't even the ceremony. Like you get to, I was like,
that was our first.
Skip the church, show up to the party.
Utah wedding, reception.
Yeah, it was
we didn't
nuts.
know anything about it.
Oh my God, it blew us away.
Yeah. So all you can eat,
chili bar.
or like build your own. Yeah, chili bar, build your own trail mix bar. Yeah. I mean, it was super awesome.
It was lit. It was the most sober wedding I've ever been to. I was like, this is amazing.
They were so nice.
Every wedding that we've been to since has been downhill. Not because it hasn't been nice in its own regard, but like that blew my mind.
How good it was.
Yeah. Well, and just the concept. And so when I was telling people like, hey, we're moving to this town and we got invited to a wedding, but like just the party. And they were like, who does that? I was like, right. It's okay. It's not me being crazy. They're like, that would never happen anywhere. I'm like, okay, Kanab's a super special place. So that's how we discovered the Perry Lodge. And then...
but then it was like several months later when we moved here, right?
September 2018.
We rented a house. Yeah.
And then in October, December, I approached the Kanab Arts Board, seeing if they would if they had the funds, I guess, to do this.
Or help us get oriented in the town. Yeah. Because our obviously the reasoning, like in that time we figured out that my parents were going to move there. We were going to start an RV park, and we both went back, sold our homes. Like that was the goal, to sell our home. And then move to Kanab. We sold our home first. We had been traveling a lot anyway, so we were ready to settle down. But we had to wait till my parents sold their home, and then they wanted to travel for several months before moving here. So we just kind of had this big chunk of time where we had no jobs. We had nothing to do, which was nice, but we're also not those kinds of people that are fun for a couple weeks, but then oh my God, what do we do?
Craving
we need
community,
to do something.
I gotta go out and meet people.
Right, we're like, okay, let's start this film fest and do that. And right, I started a cleaning business. I started cleaning Airbnbs, and then I hired people out to then clean the Airbnb, so I didn't have to do it anymore. And just trying to find ways to make money and do fun things and occupy our time. And Film Fest was one of them.
Oh, yeah. So the first one, the first film festival then
2019.
19.
Yeah, April.
And it was April.
2019.
Okay.
We put it
so
together.
we had only been here a month. That's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
We drove by. It was freezing cold. I'm like,
It
oh, that's
was
too bad.
Oh yeah,
Freezing.
because
I
it was
remember it
like
was so
the
cold.
Right.
freaking like hurricane coming in like Florida or something, and
Yeah.
it was bringing all this terrible weather. And of course, we have the barn in spring, and you think it's going to be awesome, and
Yeah.
There's a shitload of holes in the Perry lot.
and they
barn.
didn't allow heaters. So we got like all the blankets from Peekaboo Kitchen.
Yeah.
They let us borrow all of their
And Lara
blankets.
Clayson.
And Lara Clayson had all these blankets. So we just like, everybody would grab a blanket, watch a movie. I mean, it was really
Aw.
kind of cool.
It
Yeah.
was romantic
It was,
if it wasn't
yeah.
so
We were
freaking cold.
so cold, but you know, you
made it
just
work,
rolled
right?
with
Yeah,
the
we
punches.
did it,
Yeah.
and we did it in 4 months. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we needed a grant from the county to just say, okay, we have X amount of dollars to pull this off, and we know. I mean, I knew it was going to be small, and so prior to getting the grant, I just went ahead and had a logo designed, and I bought the URL, and I did some other stuff, and it was just like, okay, we have the money, I have all the stuff. Oh, I had also set up a Film Freeway account. Like, I was ready to go, and it was like, boom, cash in hand. We put it together in 4 months, and that was the first one.
And we
then-
had a group, like there were 5 of us.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were our idea then, and then there were like 3 other people.
Yeah. So anyway, after that first year, we realized that like, okay, we can do this. They helped, but we wanted like full creative control over it, right? And
Yeah.
so they kept all the money that was left over from the fundraising.
Arts Council,
like
yeah.
I couldn't buy anything because
That's
only
kind of a bummer.
the president of the arts board who had the credit card was able to purchase stuff, and you had to call the city every time you wanted to buy something. It was like infuriating.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go in and be like, look, this is what we need to buy. Can I have permission? No, we're only going to talk to the president of the arts board. How am I supposed to get anything done?
Yeah. It felt like if we continued in that like structure, we wouldn't ever create a festival of our vision. It would just become something else, or always be at the mercy of like what you can and can't do because it's a city event.
Right.
And you know, and we didn't want that. So
So we got out there and raised like
broke
more than
free.
twice as much money as the year before, just like me walking around, which is now my strategy. It's like go on foot,
Knowing
like don't make
everybody.
phone calls, you know, like if they're not there, fine, follow up. You know, it's maybe more tedious and a harder process, but you have FaceTime with people.
Yeah.
And so like Glaciers has supported us literally since the first festival.
Yeah. Who are some of your
Many
sponsors?
Oh yeah, well, the last 2 years we've been Kanab Realty has been our presenting sponsor.
Yeah.
Roxanne's
Roxanne.
great.
Roxanne.
So great. And she
Love
always
all
hosts the
ladies.
registration
Mm-hmm.
in her awesome downtown office space, which is so pretty.
Yeah.
It's such a perfect like introduction to Kanab, you know?
Yeah.
Just like that, like refined, cool, modern, but also like kind of rustic, westerny feel.
Yes.
And then everyone is there. They're so nice. And Roxanne does this like giant candy spread, and she's all into the movies, and everything's themed. And
She has
Yeah.
a poster
It's
for every
cool.
variety of candy. So like the candy name matches the post like in some capacity.
yeah.
So she's like 8 or 9 posters.
gosh, yeah.
We walked in and we're like, what? Like what? We can't afford this. She's like, I just really wanted to do like this spread. I'm like, what?
so cool. She gets really into it.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
when you
So
when
cool.
you show up to registration and it's like amazing, that's mostly Roxanne.
Yeah.
You know, we have volunteers that help out and they're fantastic, and other ladies in the office. But yeah, so they are a sponsor. Roth firm, my dad's law firm with my cousin, so they span like several states and different like areas of.
What
focus.
type of law, in case anybody needs?
My dad's like his primary thing is selling eye doctor like optometry businesses.
Okay.
Because the law changed. You only like, so if I'm an eye doctor and you're an eye doctor, I can sell to you, and now you have 2 businesses, right? You have 2 locations.
Yeah.
So, but that was the only way it could go down. Then the law changed, and now anyone can buy it. So Sarah comes in and she buys mine and yours. I'm pointing the wrong way. I'm like, mine. So she buys mine and yours, and then rebrands them as like, you know, Sarah's eyes.
Yeah.
and then sells to Britt, who is also a venture capitalist. And maybe she packages them with 5 other, and then sells that entire package to an eye doctor. But it's like a complicated contract.
Yeah.
He's just really good at it. He loves the super niche, I'm going to get in on all the details and no one will break it. So anyway, now he's made himself a linchpin and will do the legal aspect for both parties. They're yeah, fine. Just have David do both sides. And he's I could get it done in 2 days, but I have to wait for responses from people. So it generally takes me 2 weeks to close a deal. That's pretty awesome.
So there you go. Roth firm. In case you need.
Glad you asked.
Okay, who are other
sports?
Who else do you have?
Adobe Realty.
Yes.
Big sponsor.
Yeah. Who interestingly enough sold us our land for
That's right.
𝗧cie, which is really cool, full circle. So that's neat.
Sarah Ann's awesome. And then Realty One is a new sponsor
Realty
this
One
year.
Group, yeah. Chanel Healy.
Yep. She was great. She approached me. And at first I was I think we kind of want just one type of business as a sponsor, so it's not conflicting. And then we were no, that's dumb. If anyone wants to support, why should we block them?
Yeah,
So,
I think it's neat that our 3 top sponsors, and there are a few others too, but that they're real estate entities. You know,
Yeah.
It's neat because really part of what we're selling here at the Film Fest is our area. That's the draw about coming here. And oftentimes people might see it for the first time or realize that we have such good food here.
Yeah.
People are very nice. The shops are really fun. It's a walkable place. There's a lot of outdoor activities. And so I think it's a really great opportunity for these real estate companies, kind of be these, they're the top ones in Kanab, which is neat.
Yeah.
And then there's also
Moki Cave.
Which
is a super dope venue. We play scary. Kanab gets dark, so it's our more mature, because 12 and up. So if you're I don't want my kid to see whatever we're playing, it's at night and you can just tell them nothing's going on. Or you just don't buy those tickets. I don't know. Anyway, so we play scary movies or darker things in Moki Cave and all.
Did you guys go last year, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
had so much fun.
Yeah.
I
Right?
loved that so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. Plus, you bust people up there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
on a school bus, which is really
Yes.
another perk. And
surprise them with a treat at the end.
I
Well,
know.
there's constantly
I was so happy.
gonna be fun surprises.
I know. I love surprises. It's
Yeah.
why I love
So that trick that we did at the end with the food was how we ended our wedding. Different restaurant, same thing. And so people are
For fun.
half drunk or totally drunk, getting on the shuttle back to their hotel. And we're boom, surprise. We were gone,
Burgers.
but yeah.
Aww.
So
cool.
they were just oh my God, it's the best thing ever.
So Moki Cave is one of our top sponsors because we do the Kanab Gets Dark screening there, and it's really cool. And there's 75 people inside the cave, and they do such a wonderful job. And we typically use their restaurant, get the Cave Cafe.
So the little party
feeding you
beforehand
guys
is their
even
food.
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's 𝗧cie also. And then
Those guys are so attractive.
and then there's 𝗧ci𝗶𝗰𝘀 Kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, they're one of our very top food sponsors from early on.
Pretty
Really,
much a get-go.
they've
yeah.
always supported us. Their venue their restaurant is great. Their pizza is awesome. So they
delicious food.
do a lunch for us. So that's Friday afternoon. They'll do lunch and pizza and salad, and then we do our after party on their back patio.
For the filmmakers
best.
and VIP,
Amazing.
right?
Yes.
It's so
It
cool.
is so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And also we do stay there, which is really cool. So that's our other, that's our personal hotel and we're staying there the whole time, the Flagstone.
This year, stepped it up.
So really exciting.
So
Those are our top sponsors.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a gazillion others. We really had to, this was a tougher year for fundraising.
It's been weird every year.
It's weird every year, I guess, but like with COVID and like still recovery from that,
like our first year doing the fest, which was year 2, was like in the middle of the pandemic.
Right.
So we had to push our date back twice, which was sketchy. And I was like, I don't want to sit on all this money for like a year. That doesn't feel right. These people paid to have their business advertised. We got to do this. So we did it. We were the first in-person film festival post-pandemic.
Nice.
Like in America for sure, and probably the world. I know it's a really big claim, but like the whole globe was like shut down, and Kane County's like, we're moving forward.
That's why we moved here.
Yeah. So, you know, I think, we were the first in-person film fest after like March 2020.
Yeah, because you're scheduled, you had to move
April.
it back.
Yeah.
We moved it back 2 times.
April, then it was in May, and then it was in June. And thank God it happened. And nobody got sick. Everyone was great.
Yeah.
You know, we took all the precautions.
Yeah, everybody was kind of spaced out.
Right.
So it was, it worked out. And we,
That was our first.
that was the first time we were able
cool.
to go. Yeah.
It was fun.
Did I meet you there for the first time?
No.
We were neighbors.
We were.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
met.
I ran into you more often. though.
Crazy horse.
I know.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to meet him so bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I was glad to see you.
I know.
but-
He was like never there.
I
It's
know.
like, does he exist?
Well, the
that
first
woman
time-
is in there with 3 children. How
Yeah, we're
does
like,
she do
good
it?
Lord.
Well, I was guiding full time.
Yeah.
And then I think the first time we met, you just drove by with Rick, and I knew Rick, your dad.
I think it was by the dumpster, actually.
yeah.
Like the
so-
Crazy Horse dumpster is
Romantic.
where we met.
Right.
No, I'm not. Like, that's true.
It's romantic.
Hey,
Oh,
it's
I thought
fine.
you said don't be a dick. The trash by the dumpster.
No, but I knew your dad because he was guiding for another guide company, and
Yeah, right.
so I said hi,
Yeah.
and then that's when I met you. But it was just for a few seconds.
Yeah.
And then I think the second time I was getting ready to go hunting, and I was like decked out in camo.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Coyote.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I was going hunting coyotes, and you're like, oh hey, what's going on? And then I was talk to you for a second, and then
Right.
you're like, all right, big gulps, huh? And then,
Yeah.
but it's funny because our
It
trailers,
was awkward.
Our trailers were literally
Yeah.
like
right across.
20 feet away from each
Yeah.
other.
I know.
And we never really, we came over that
know.
one time and you showed us around.
Oh
But I
yeah, and
wasn't
then
home.
I came over to your place
Yeah.
because you wanted to like remodel.
Yeah.
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 I mean, after seeing
Yeah.
your house, I'm like, how can I make my house look like yours?
Well, that's when we ripped out, remember?
Right.
We moved the couch and we bought
You
a new
guys
couch.
did a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
awesome. You like
Yeah.
changed up the
I
kids' room.
never went inside.
It was nice.
Oh, you
Yeah.
never
It's
did?
No.
pretty.
Yeah, see, but it's funny.
I've been
It's
to your
like,
house.
it's like we wasted
permanent.
a year or more. You guys lived right next to us for like a year.
I know.
Yeah.
And we never hung out.
It wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny.
Well, then we also had our big dog, which felt
Yeah.
like a barrier
Yeah.
to meeting new people because she was a bit unpredictable. And
They had a bunch of people. We had to
She
give her
bit-
back to best friends.
Oh, wow.
I know.
heartbreaking.
She just was like really scared.
she loved kids.
Yeah.
So we were fine with that. But like, yeah,
I know
if
she
you-
like hated it.
yeah, I mean, men specifically, it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah.
So
Well, so I remember going to that. Yeah, we were able to break away. We went to a couple sessions so it had been your second
Yeah.
year, which was held at the new Kanab Center.
right.
Right.
And then last year again at the new Kanab Center. And so,
Yeah.
but
It
now,
wasn't new last year.
well, still new.
It still smells really new.
Still,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah.
What's that
Still
new?
has the stickers that you have to peel off.
Still has that new center feel. So, but this year you're going somewhere else.
Yeah. Are you allowed to say where?
Yes, it's all over our ads on social
Oh,
media.
right, right.
Yeah.
know
The
you love
Redstone
surprise.
Theater,
Yeah.
which was actually, we discussed it in 2019 having it there.
Well, and yeah.
And then they were like, oh, we're going to sell it.
Yeah.
We're like,
Right.
okay. They were like, well, I mean, you can do it here, but if we sell it, then you can't.
Or we were trying to
What?
do our award show there. Remember, like we're trying to do some
Yeah, like
aspect of
2
something.
years ago. In
there.
2020, we tried to do something there, and it didn't work
Yeah,
out because they were
no.
going to sell it.
And there was like a weird contract, and it kept changing, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And then last year, we were like, can we just do Sunday here? We'll do a recap, And they were like, well, we're going to sell it. I'm like, well, fine. If I have to like do everything at the Kanab Center, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's such, it's
a cool venue.
Like, it's a cool
I
venue,
know,
that
it is
beautiful
so
marquee on Main Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, how can we use this?
Like
and
classic Kanab.
and it was great. Like,
Well,
for
and-
Sunday last year, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And the film fest was awesome. Like, I think you really hit your stride last year.
Thank
Cool.
you.
And
Thanks.
yeah, so like it really came together. And then I think too at the end, like we went to the cave was awesome, and then going there at the end, and when I sat in there,
On Sunday?
yeah,
Yeah.
then we got to watch that
Bruce Willis premiere.
the roof.
Yeah.
It was like a roof cut.
Yeah, yeah.
The rough cut as well. We got
Yeah.
to see both, and
Back to back.
but just sitting in there, I remember saying to you, I was like, you got to do the festival here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does give you that theater.
Yeah.
Feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what, I mean, a lot of being at the Kanab Center, like, it's beautiful and it's big and the bathrooms are nice. Like, there's lots of great aspects in that cool
Lots of rooms
terrace
for breakout
outside.
sessions.
But like having the aesthetic that we want, there was a lot of work that had to go into it,
Yeah.
which felt really like a big task because setup was so overwhelming, and
You
it
could
was
only get in there, what, like a day or two?
a day before, and it was we're just like us, but then getting people to help, which we did, which was great, but
Ken and Kate.
it was it's felt like a lot. And this year, I mean, you already have this amazing space that you don't have to do anything to.
Yeah, we don't have to set up chairs. I can't
God.
stress how
Right.
amazing that is.
Right.
And grass, like we filled the whole convention center with grass.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we have those stored in our storage area. If
Synthetic
anyone-
grass.
If anybody
We should
wants
say.
How
AstroTurf,
cool. Gosh, if
Yeah.
it was real
Sheets.
grass.
we just have sod.
I'm just like,
no one's watered
I
it.
am addicted. I love grass. I love the look of it. And
Oh,
like,
really? You
even
freaking pothead?
our wedding cake though, remember? We had a
Yeah.
giant table this big for our wedding cake,
I
and it was
forgot all about
covered
that.
in real grass.
Oh,
And then our
cool.
cake was in the middle. I've always like loved the look of like
Yeah.
I love picnics. I like a big space of grass because I can just picture like a cocktail hour there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I like grass.
I think that the theater, as you've gone each year, you're improving. And I told you it was toward the end of the festival, but you and I were writing somewhere to do something for the next part of the festival.
Yeah.
And I just remember saying like, you're really putting on, it's not just a film festival, it's really an overall experience.
Yeah.
Because with the event planning, just the way that you put everything together,
That's all Britt.
well, yeah, but you do a lot of,
Yeah.
both of you, I think you
Yeah.
make a really good team
Yeah.
for this.
We do.
And so I'm really excited for this year, again, because of the theater,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's, plus now you've got the food frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes, I know.
talk a little bit,
Can you-
like,
yeah.
how
Can I
did
give you
that,
some tidbits?
yeah,
Can
like,
you?
why,
Yeah.
how did that,
Yeah.
I mean, you already had, really neat, you always had like awesome snacks.
Snacks.
Like you could get coffee and
Right.
snacks but now like why the change, and like what made you decide to do that?
I'll go to the first part. So Alamo Drafthouse is a movie theater chain, and you can eat in the theater. Like you
And
sit
there were a
in
bunch
the
of them in
table.
Austin.
Yeah.
And like, if we're going to go on a date night, we're going to go watch a movie and have dinner there. Like, and it had great food. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like crappy or just popcorn or candy. It's like a
Right.
meal. It's
I actually refused to see movies that weren't at an Alamo.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like-
why would I not have
Yeah.
beer brought to me?
We got
during
so
the movie? What are you,
accustomed
crack.
to that experience.
So we
Yeah.
wanted to give that back, and
Yeah.
we did a little bit of that at Perry Lodge. But then we were like, no, I mean, people shouldn't have to miss a movie to get a snack,
Yeah.
which
Or you should be enjoying like good food while eating
And that.
while watching,
Right.
Yeah.
And even if it is popcorn and candy, like no one should pay for anything. Like it's just part of the full experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we definitely, I think I agree. Like we are like every year we start understanding what we are doing, because we are a very different festival than other people might attend a film fest. This is a very different experience, and we like it that way.
Yeah.
And we want to go to something like we want to build something we would love to go to.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is how we got Dark
And like
Sky.
fully treat people. Like if you're going to take time, money out of your budget and come be with us and stay with us, and we're going to make it very worthwhile. And that's like top hospitality. And I think last year with all the food, like it's just so fun. Like, and you know, tapping into your local resources, and that's just really fun of getting locals involved who are really good at what they do. And
in 2020, the Film Fest went through 900 mini donuts, which is 72 dozen donuts.
from the Rock Stop
Yeah.
in Orderville, like
Awesome.
Mickey and
Mickey and
Don,
Don, man.
they make mini donuts and they're awesome and they're so
so
fun to
good.
work with. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mickey is like totally into it, and we bring out her, like she did all those beautiful donuts in the cave with all
look like
all little
vampires.
vampires and edible teeth, and you know, people get excited about doing something like this. So
all her idea.
So this year, like
Great.
I was like, let's just like totally
Embrace
call it what it is, because it
Yeah.
really is
Yeah.
film and there's a lot of food. So it's like a frenzy.
Yeah.
So we're just like, you know, I think people think like it's not a food festival where you get tickets and you go to booths, and
Right.
it's our own version of that. And so at every meal, basically,
Yeah.
any turn, you'll be having food. So at our kickoff party, we have
I'm
this
so excited
amazing
about.
catering company out of St. George called Mac Catering. She did all of the meals for the participants at Wheels Up,
Okay.
It's another event we put on.
another event. And her like her display is just so beautiful. Like
Yeah.
what I would like it when I was in the wedding industry and planning those events, like that would be the aesthetic I would want for my clients.
Right.
And so I'm just like really excited because there's more resource that they have from St. George, right? And like the setups and
Yes.
drink things with the little like that's awesome. And for us here in Kanab, that's not always easily accessible or
Yes.
attainable, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a few catering companies locally here, but they're often not available.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a
You know,
bummer.
which is a bummer. So, but we're having so Mac Catering
And we
And we're
like
having-
we went over budget to bring her in.
For
We're
this,
like,
yeah.
look, this is the
Yeah.
this is the start.
Well, we went
Of
through
our first
several
food frenzy.
different like potential options,
Options.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like your first introduction to the weekend. So it has to be
Yeah.
at a high level. So we're doing a taco, build your own taco and nacho bar. So it's going to be so fun. And there's specialty like non-alcoholic beverages. And yeah, I mean, it's just going to be awesome. It's at the Little Hollywood Museum, which you guys like have been
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
right? It's
I
just like,
You guys are in the opening
Oh yeah,
video.
that's right. I'm
fun.
at first I'm envisioning this where it's been at the
Right.
Kanab
right.
Film,
Yeah. On the terrace.
which is a cool
Yeah.
cool spot
So
too.
cool.
But
Yeah.
So
This is a new level of awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause
Another-
sorry.
go on. No.
Well, our theme is West. Like we
Yes.
we like to kind of go with some kind of theme, you know, and we're like all out Western theme this year.
I will say, Westworld was Saunders' idea.
Yeah.
He was like,
We just
check out
had a
these
brainstorm
awesome
session.
posters. And I was like, yeah, the Man in Black. Like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah, I remember you sent me that poster
Yeah.
after when you guys were hanging out, and you're like, "What about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is the aesthetic. This is it."
well, and it was funny we had some really good ideas before another
Nude ideas.
yeah.
Was that
No,
what it
it's a new
Oh yeah, new night.
But anyway, it's funny you came over to my house and I wasn't feeling 100%,
Yeah.
and you're
Is
like,
that when I got COVID?
that
just
might have
kidding.
been, yeah.
No, it wasn't.
No, but you, it was just funny sitting there that night. But yeah, I showed you some of those posters, and then you started getting all these ideas, and then at the end you're like, "Oh, thanks so much for your help," and I'm like, "I didn't really do anything."
You were the catalyst, man.
But it spawned a lot of good
Yeah.
ideas for you. So, well, I have to say too, I really liked we shot the intro and the theme. I love the picture. Like it turned out really neat. And
A
Yeah.
hot dog suit.
yeah. Well,
Food suit.
yeah, the
That's-
picture on the, we should
Our
show it.
poster?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have it?
Yeah. Let's take a quick break and
Okay.
I'll pull it up.
All right.
So this is the,
This is our poster.
Poster.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, which is, a spoof of the one you showed me. And it's slightly the one that we have now is slightly different than this. It needs to be updated. Like there's a clipping mask through the logo, so you can see the mountain. And I'm in a different position, and the fork is a little bigger, but you'll never notice that. And those are all the changes. But Matt Hansen is responsible for this. He and his wife Angie have been helping us out with the Film Fest since 2020, and they're awesome people, very talented. And Matt just kind of stepped up this year. It was like, whatever I can do to help. And I was like, you want to make the poster? Yeah. Great. You want to shoot this promo? Good. And then he's cutting it. Like there's a lot of stuff that Britt and I had to do by ourselves just to get it done. And now it's a different experience, just like letting someone else do it.
Yeah. And like you going and having a meeting with Dan to like learn the sound, like we were talking about earlier, like these are the ways that we can grow, because it can feel like it's a big event and it takes a really long time to plan out the event that we need it to be, like at the level we need it to be, you know? And the more people that like want to grab a piece of it and like
help us grow.
And so we don't have to do as much. It's like, okay, I can see doing this year after year. Because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm not ready to plan this again because it is so in depth. But it's exciting. It's cool that we have people that are helping us, that are excited about it and put together a poster like this that we didn't have to do. And it's like,
and actually, I should mention that the guy in black is Colin Cunningham. And he was in Falling Skies, and he was in Preacher, and Death Race on Sci-Fi, which no one saw. And it was like, so I've been friends with Colin. Like, he played music at our very first kickoff party. He's like, we had this dinky Bluetooth speaker, and he's like, do you want live music? I was like, yeah, what you got? He's like, I have a saxophone in my truck. I was like, yes, sit on this stool and play saxophone. So Colin has just like been so helpful and a good friend.
He's like our celebrity, you know? And he's like willing to help us. And I mean, to come out for like a full day shoot for this little festival and be like waiting around for his like small part, you know, that's just like a lot to ask for someone who
he takes ownership in this also. It's like I'm coming every year with my family.
And he loves it. That's just great.
He's awesome.
Last year was really fun, and you could tell he was really into it and passionate about it. And it was fun to have his family here. And we should. So Colin, I don't know is he on social media at all?
It's at The Real Colin Cunningham.
Okay.
On Instagram. So follow him. He's doing. He's got a feature film that he's working on, and now I'm like totally blanking on the name. But we showed his short, the short version of that. It's like a horror thriller.
Oh yeah.
We showed it at our very first film fest.
Oh, okay.
It was great.
It's really good.
Yeah, the one last year, I don't remember the name of it, but it was such a good.
So good.
That feature.
Oh, 𝗧ci𝗽𝗶.
Yeah, it was such an awesome film.
So Colin had always had stuff that either was there for whatever reason. There was some reason that he couldn't win an award, and last year, even though his film was like technically outside of you can win an award category, like it had been made too long ago or whatever, he won audience choice. And like everyone that saw it was like, this is the best movie of the fest. And I was like, it was so special to be able to finally give him something back, even though I had no part in it. I still, we created the experience for him to have that experience. So I take full credit.
Well, you had to extend, because typically the film has to be made within a reasonable amount of a year or two.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
And so because of COVID and things that just were upside down, you're like, we'll just take any film.
Yeah. Well, we pushed it back. It was 5 years. We pushed it back to 10. And it was like, I want people to have a good time. Like the world, there's a lot of shit going on in the world. If you can just kind of escape. And my brother and I used movies as an escape as kids. And it was like the one thing I think we spent 6 weekends in a row when I was in middle school, eating pizza and renting Jaws. And it was like, dude, mom and dad are going out, pizza and Jaws, you know it. And they're like, what is with you two? We're like, we both like the movie. We both like pizza. We're not fighting. Go out and don't bother us. Otherwise, you're going to f this vibe up. And we're going to fight. Sorry. So, yeah.
That's okay.
Colin said it best last year. At the award show, we kind of wanted feedback because we had, tried some different things. And Colin said, what you've created for the filmmakers is a 4-day all-inclusive getaway from reality that's fun at every moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, that, I wouldn't have been able to articulate that. But basically having people have a magical experience is what I wanted. And I know you're on the same page. Like, yeah, a magical experience. And we pulled it off last year.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Totally.
It was so fun. And like I said,
Yes.
I really feel like you hit your stride. And
Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah.
and then I don't know too. I think it probably helped. Like we're kind of in the heart of the pandemic, and so it felt good. There's kind of that camaraderie, like you're connecting with people.
We're all coughing in each other's mouths.
Yeah, exactly. And, and that's we all really needed that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, everybody needs an escape, and why not? We live in a beautiful area that people want to escape to anyway.
right.
Why coop them up in a theater the entire time? Shout out to 𝗧cie𝗽𝗶𝗰𝘀 International Film Fest out of St. George. John and Adam are amazing dudes.
Yeah.
And Jeff as well. He helps out more with Horror Fest, but they are of the attitude of sit down, shut up, and eat movies. And it's awesome. Like, they have really cool stuff, and I always enjoy going. But it is a shitload of sitting in a chair watching movies. I mean, it's like, I've been doing this like 8 hours. Like, I need to walk around. Anyway, so we don't want that. Like, that's for my body. That's not comfortable.
Yeah.
So we create experiences throughout the day. Like this year, Kanab e-bikes, they're going on a, you can sign up.
Sponsoring a tour.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, you can ride
Yeah.
from town around the reservoir and back before one of the film blocks.
Yeah.
Fun.
Right?
So of course it's like limited sign up, but I think he's got like 12 bikes.
Great. Let's sign up.
Things like that. And
You can just borrow our e-bikes
Okay.
and ride with everyone.
Okay.
we have Jay Edwards coming back. He did like 2 years ago. He did a Zoom workshop, how to shoot a movie on your iPhone, which was like really
fun.
popular.
Yeah.
So he's coming back in person this year. He lives in LA, and like his
He's
claim
an
to
editor
fame.
on Netflix, and
Yeah.
he was a producer on Adult Swim.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's
And
kind of it's kind of awesome, big deal.
Well, talk about some of the workshops you've had, and maybe like a little bit about that. So, if you're a filmmaker coming, what is that experience like for the filmmaker?
Well, sometimes there's people that they know, I guess, like Jefferson Richards.
Oh yeah.
Lived here. He passed away recently. But he was like a Hollywood producer and kind of a big deal, and worked on a lot of notable films. So we bring these people in that have such an expertise that can bring value to the filmmaker, someone who's just interested, kind of learning about it. He did one about what does a producer do? I've always been interested in that. He was a producer. So it was really fascinating, about learning about how that works and preparing and organizing for a film.
He wanted 2 bottles of wine for payment. I was like, I can give you $100.
interesting.
He's like, no, I'll take this wine. I'm
Specific, it was funny.
okay,
Yeah.
here you go, dude. Thanks.
Then we had a local screenwriter lives here. She's done 2 years in a row. Last year she did Heidi, how to write a thriller, I think, right?
yeah,
And then
that's
just
her
like
thing.
how to write a screenplay.
With Richard Finney, who's worked with Steven Spielberg and Amblin, and he's like produced a ton of stuff. Randomly, a friend of my like third cousins.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, he was like, oh, you should reach out to my friend Richard Finney. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? And Richard Finney's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And then last year, Red Rock Dance Studio, Jenna, Corey, they were one of our sponsors, and
Again.
she did kind of like a briefing of music and dance in
What was the
movies,
dance?
like
Was
a
it
historical.
the,
Footloose, right? Is
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you
Right.
attend
I
it?
missed that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Was that
I
like-
wasn't there either.
So then she taught the routine from I think it was Footloose. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we really try to vary it. Oh yeah, we had from her too. We had a surprise flash mob at our kickoff party, which was really fun.
These like girls just descended on the kickoff party, and you're like, what the? There's like all these 13-year-old girls around me, and they did this like
it
dance.
was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone just kind of stood there like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and thinking about it too, there's, I think a lot of people, there are people who are into film and people who want to make film.
Yeah.
But for the kind of casual observer, like maybe talk a little bit about, we've covered some of the experience, but I'll just say too, like I grew up in Salt Lake, so I had the chance. Sundance is in Utah.
Your backyard.
Yeah, it's right in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And Sundance is awesome and has its own experience.
Yeah.
The LDS Film Festival is actually really big now. One of my good friends has helped run that for several years, and that's a really fun one too. It's in Orem, Utah. Well, it has been. It's called the 𝗧cie Theater. It's actually spelled 𝗧cie𝗽𝗶𝗰𝘀, but that's a fun experience. That used to be X Dance. There's also Slam Dance.
Right.
So I grew up, and I also went to film school, and so I've been to a lot. But overall, like the experience that you get here at Kanab, like it's just unique, and it's an awesome film festival experience.
Thanks.
So you obviously can't match Sundance because it's ginormous.
Yeah.
And
We don't ever want to match Sunday.
right.
No.
Like it's hard for anyone, like that's its own unique thing.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like your film festival has as cool and unique as an experience as something like that. Like,
Thanks.
Really, I'm
Thank you.
honestly.
Like in everything we do, we just kind of think about what we would want. And we must be super cool people because all our stuff is fire. No, I mean, like what would make me happy? What would make me happy is not having to leave a theater to get a freaking snack and not
Right.
have to stand there and wait to swipe my card to pay
Yes.
for it. Like, sure, I'll take it free and I'll take it either delivered to my seat or easily accessible. I would say the only downside of the Redstone is that you do physically have to leave the theater room to get a concession. And like, I'm sure nobody cares about that but me. I'm like, you gotta go like 4.5 feet. And like, you might have to wait, like,
Right.
No, it's going to be an awesome experience.
Yeah,
The
and-
theater's gorgeous. And Dan, the owner, he and his wife, Gina, are fantastic people as well.
Yeah.
And I think, just overall, we wouldn't be possible without the community support's pretty amazing that the community does support us so much that we can create this amazing experience, they're trusting us with their sponsorship dollars and of course tickets and submissions and grants, and we feel like, we now need to put on something that they'd be proud of, that their name is on. And,
Right.
so yeah, I mean, a full experience. I'm glad you guys have had a great time.
Well, and viewers have to understand, like if you're going to a film festival, it's a different experience. You can't expect, if you've only watched feature, Hollywood feature films your whole life, it is not like that.
Yeah.
Like you're dealing with people, you're dealing with kids who make films, you're dealing with students who make films.
Yeah.
The other thing too is you have to understand that all of these people are learning, they have different backgrounds and experiences, and to make a movie and pull it off, especially these low budget ones, you have to you have to have a lot of people who wear different hats. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes you see all kinds of different movies. Some have really good stories, some have really good cinematography. Sometimes
we get some amazing Iranian films.
Yeah.
There's this one distribution company called 𝗧cie𝗽𝗶𝗰𝘀 Films, and apparently Iranians can't or won't spend they can't buy into the American economy, so they always email and ask for waivers, and the 𝗧cie𝗽𝗃 stuff is just great. So I wrote them and I was like, I'll give you 5 waivers a year. Send me your best stuff. And at least 60% of the stuff that they send me gets in. And it's just a totally different perspective of the world.
Yeah.
than I have, you know.
Yeah, and it's a unique opportunity to have a glimpse of that. So, I mean, that it is, you're right. It's a really, really cool place to see a lot of different things that you'll never, ever see.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of goes back into my religious stuff and studying film. But when you go into the idea behind, you know, movies is the storytelling, and you go in and you forget about like your cares in the outside world, and you get caught up in these characters and these stories, and it's just fun to like get in there. It's honestly like a really inspiring and creative time. Like if you want to go and like have inspiration and spark some creativity, like film festivals are amazing for that. Yeah. Because you're like, boom, you're getting this story that's 7 minutes long and then 15 minutes long and then 3 minutes and then, and you know, it's just
eating delicious food.
Yeah. You're eating amazing food.
Everything around.
And you're talking, you know, you're talking to all these hipsters and but anyway, people who love film. It's just it's a unique, film festivals are so fun in that regard because it also makes you appreciate, you know, when you see polished films, like then you're like, oh, I get it. Like so many talented people have to come together to make this work.
Right.
Yeah.
But when these people with low budgets do it, like it's there's some amazing films that get put in this thing. Yeah. So,
and this year is no different. It'll be an amazing film fest. We gave you a few like tidbits, but we like to have surprises, even for some of our favorite festival goers.
Surprises.
I know. I feel like you have a lot of things up your sleeve this year. Like
we have a lot of things up our sleeve,
and there were a lot of good changes, or improvements, like
from 2021 to 2020.
And then I feel like this year though, it's going to even, just lots of
every year I say, I promise you we'll outdo ourselves. And then I'm like, oh my God.
Like, how are we even going to do this? And then you start.
And then I panic because I made a promise. And like, oh God, now I have to outdo what we did last year. And
maybe just don't say that after this.
I know.
This year I'm like, I don't know how we're going to outdo this. And inevitably we will.
So for the 7 people who,
please.
Just quickly.
Babysitters, you know.
Oh yeah, we got to cut this off. But for those who want to enter the film festival, you're going to run the festival every year in April.
Yeah.
So sometime in April, kanabfilm.com to get the latest details.
Right.
Yep.
If you want to submit a film, typically need to do it by what?
Through the regular submission deadline ends on the 15th, and then we're accepting
of
February. Sorry.
Okay. And then March 4th is our cutoff.
Our late deadline.
Okay. So in the future, get it in by...
We start
in October.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Start accepting in October.
Okay. So...
Early bird rates. And tickets are on sale. Limited quantities of VIP tickets. Yep. And they're half gone. So that is truly like the full festival experience. Every party, every secret fun thing. Yeah. Super cool swag, preferred theater seating. I mean, the list goes on and on. So.
And it's honestly only that small, like that few number of tickets, because we can only get so many people in Moki Cave.
Yeah.
Moki Cave are bigger than...
It's nice, and it's an exclusive group.
Oh, for sure.
That are willing to like party hard.
Well.
Do it all.
Yes.
It's quite the event. I would recommend, like, if you want to be inspired.
Yeah.
And you want like a good break and to get refreshed and like have a good experience, connect with people, meet people who, you know, are different than you and they're going to inspire you. Like, go to the fest.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us. Congrats on your podcast. It was really great.
I remember you talking about this for a long time and then collecting the pieces for your podcast.
Thanks for having us.
I got these microphones today.
I know.
I know, all the little pieces.
Look at these cables. Aren't they fun?
Yeah. Well, it's fun, but you know, maybe we'll get this out in October and then we'll do another one.
Great. I look forward to it.
Do we do like a sign off? Do we have to do anything or just like?
Yeah, just be like, peace.
Peace. A hand high.
Oh, saluting.
Oh, okay. All right.
Saluting.
And hello.
Go to this camera.